Hi, in today's video I want to make some cards using these 4 characters from this Onto Adventure stamp set. Now this is kind of all geared up to congratulations and retirement and that kind of thing, but you could use this for any occasion. I just love the 4 whimsical characters. So I've already stamped these in Memento and I've cut them out using my ScanNCut. I just stamped them all and cut them all out. And I've already made up 3 of the cards, which I'll show you at the end, and I'm going to do one with you. And these cards would be so simple and easy to make because they literally use very minimal supplies. I wanted to make my set of cards a little bit more generic, so I'll tell you what I'm using. I'm using the stamp set that's called A Wish for Everything, and it's a 2-packet stamp set, if you like, because in total there's 38 stamps. And I'm just going to use this for you. So that's where my greeting is coming from. And then just for a little bit of interest on the back of my base card, I'm using the speckles out of Beauty Abounds. Onto Adventure is in our new annual catalogue. Well, they all are actually. They're all in our annual catalogue. This is on page 28 of this catalogue. So I've got my little character here already stamped in Memento, and I did start to colour it. And then I thought I'll take you along with the process because it really is simple. I'll tell you what supplies you need and then we'll crack on. So I've got some thick Whisper White A4 UK cards. So this is about 11 3/4 by about 8 1/4. I've cut it straight down the middle on the short side and I've scored it, and I'm going to fold it in half. And I'm just going to use my bone folder to get a nice crease. So that's my base card. So the other things you're going to need, I've decided to use Smoky Slate for this, but you could use anything, and I'm colouring all the hair on all the characters in grey to kind of try and tie it all together. So this piece of Smoky Slate is 4 by 2 3/4. I've got a 2-inch circle, which is in the new 2019-21 in colour, which is Seaside Spray. I've got a 1-inch circle in Whisper White, and I've got another piece of Seaside Spray, which is 4 by 1. A piece of Designer Series paper from Woven Threads, and the reason I've chose Woven Threads is because Woven Threads has all the new 2019 through to 2021 in colours, and they're the colours I'm going to be using to colour in my characters, so it all kind of ties in together. This is 3/4 of an inch by 4 inches, and that's going to mat onto there, and a piece of scrap around about 2.5 to 3 inches long and about 3/4 of an inch wide. That's not vital, and you'll see why in a few minutes. So as I said, really minimal supplies to make this card. So I'm just going to put those on one side with the little character, and I'm going to bring in my Smoky Slate. Now, I used to have a Cuttlebug and I got rid of it. But I've realised that there are some really lovely embossing folders in our Stampin' Up catalogue. So I'm going to buy another manual die cutting machine, but I'm going to wait and see what Stampin' Up bring out, because they've retired the Big Shot and they are bringing out another machine. So before I go and invest in anything, I'm just going to hold off. So just to give this card a little bit more interest, I'm just going to do a bit of like embossing, but with the scoreboard. So with the piece of Smoky Slate, which is 4 by 2 3/4, I'm putting that in my scoreboard. I'm using the bigger end of the ball tool that comes with the Simply Scored, and I'm going to score at every 1/4 of an inch. So 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch, 3/4, 1 inch, 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 1 3/4, 2, and so on, 2 1/4, 2 1/2. And when I turn this over now, you'll see that I've got some score lines, hopefully. So I'm just going to find that little bit of scrap, and I'm using a corner rounder. Now this is an old one I've had for years. Stampin' Up do, I think it's called the detailed trio punch, and that has a corner rounder in it. If you have the envelope punch board, that has a corner rounder on it, but this was just handy, so this is why I'm using it. So I'm just going to round 2 corners of this piece of scrap. I'm going to turn this over and apply some snail adhesive on the back, and then I'm just using the lines on my grid paper to, in fact I don't think that corner's punched properly, I'm just going to do it again. That's better. So I'm just using the lines on my grid paper just to make sure that this is straight, and I've just put some snail adhesive on the back of here, and I'm just going to pop this piece of card over the top and stick it down. So I've just got a little bit of the Seaside spray sticking out the side. Now I'm going to bring in my speckles from Beauty Abounds, and I'm going to bring in my Seaside spray ink, and I'm just going to stamp on this card randomly. And that's all I'm going to do, just to give it a little bit of interest on the background. I'm going to bring in my piece of smoky slate that I've embossed, and I'm just going to apply some snail adhesive. And I'm going to position this kind of centrally, doesn't have to be perfect, maybe a little more at the bottom than at the top, and I'm just going to position it like so. Now I'm going to bring in my piece of Designer Series paper, and I'm going to layer this up onto my piece of Seaside spray card, and I'm just going to kind of put it centrally like so. Now my 1-inch circle, I'm going to cut my 1-inch circle in half, so you'll get 2 cards from each circle if you use the stamp set that I'm showing you. I'm going to use Memento Black again, just going to ink up the 4U and stamp this near the bottom half of this half a circle, if that makes sense. Now I'm going to turn this over and apply some snail just to the bottom, and then again I'm using the grid lines just to line this up, and I'm going to position that like so. Now this is going on dimensionals, so I'm using the bigger dimensionals, so I'm going to pop one over where the circle is so that that kind of anchors that down on the card as well. And I'm just going to put some dimensionals on here. So as I say, raid your scraps. I mean, these bits of card and paper were all scraps that were in my, sets. I keep all my card together, so all my Seaside spray in a pocket, all my Designer Series paper in a, a clear pocket, and I keep all the scraps with them. So this is now going to go across here. Again, it's not vital where it goes, but I'll show you the ones at the end, and they kind of all have the same layout. I'm going to bring in my 2-inch circle, and I'm going to put a couple of dimensionals on the back of this. If you've got the stitched circles, you could use those. This is just a 2-inch circle from a punch. I'm going to position that like so. So that's how it's looking so far. Now I'm going to bring in my little lady. Clear some space. And for the hair on all the characters, I'm using smoky slate and I'm using light. So I'm just going to colour her hair in. A hat I'm going to do in crumb cake. I'm not doing, so I've got a hat in light crumb cake. I've got a hair in light smoky slate. For the skin tone, I'm using light petal pink. And this is the same colour I've used on them all. So again, it's going to kind of tie them all together. Right, now because I've got Seaside Spray, Terracotta Tile and Rococo Rose and Smoky Slate in here, I'm going to bring in those colours as well. So I've got Rococo Rose, which I think I'll do her little bag in. I mean, you can just have fun with these and use any colours, but I'm trying to pick the colours out of the designer series paper. And I think I'll colour the little flower in a hat in the Rococo Rose as well. And the little pearls around her neck, I'll do the same. And then for the dress, I'm going to use the light Seaside Spray. Just bring that Rococo Rose back in and do that band on her hat to tie it together. So that's how she's looking. So now I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of her. And I'm going to put her on here, like so. So that's my card. So quick and simple, just, you know, a 2-inch circle, a 1-inch circle and some scraps, a stamped image, coloured in using the colours that are in the designer series paper. So I'm going to bring in my faceted dots, which these are the in colours. I'm just going to put a little blue dot in the flower, and then I'll bring in the others and show you the others. So Seaside Spray, Terracotta Tile, Pretty Peacock and Rococo Rose. I'm going to bring in my Wink of Stella, and I've already put Wink of Stella on this, but I don't know how well you're going to see it. Just put a little bit all over his clothing and his hat and his camera. So I'll do the same here. So I'll put a little bit on his hat. And the same on her and maybe on her bag and a suitcase. Put some on his shirt, some on her dress and some on the little flower in her hair. And it just adds, you're probably not going to be able to see it at all, but it adds a very light glittery shimmer, but it really is very subtle. So there are my 4 cards, all made from Onto Adventure. And just using some scraps of designer series paper that's got the in colours in, and then using the in colours to tie it all in together. Then obviously I'll do some envelopes and I'll probably stamp the envelopes to match each little character. Anyway, it was just a quick tip video. As I say, I'd already made some and I just thought I'd show you because I just love these little whimsical characters, and you could put any greeting that you want on these. And just by using your Simply scoreboard and scoring, you know, your piece of card at the back, it just adds a little bit more interest. Obviously, if you've got any embossing folders, run them through an embossing folder and do it that way. Or even, you know, run the front half of your card through your embossing folder. But anyway, I hope you like the project. Please give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to make sure you tick the bell notification icon, and that way you'll be informed when I upload any videos. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.